welcome to the Anything Goes podcast.
I wanted to say it first.
Say it first.
Welcome to the Anything Goes podcast. My name is Random Girl, and this man right here to my left is...
It's Kombat AllStar.
Alright, see, I do it better.
You can barely hear you when you did it.
I bet they can hear me.
Maybe. Anyway, this is episode 100.
100?
I can't believe we've done 100 episodes. That's crazy.
I know, we did a lot.
So, 100 episodes of the Anything Goes podcast. This is the last podcast that will be on YouTube. After this, it will be on our home at archive.org. So go check us out there. Link will be in the description. Today, we're actually going to be talking about Icon and Rocket. Mm-hmm. Now, most of you probably don't know who Icon and Rocket is. Mm-hmm. But I am going to fill you in. And then we're going to give our little thoughts about it. So, the late, great Dwayne McDuffie. Awesome.
Wait, when did you find out about them?
I found out about Icon and Rocket, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 years ago. There was a documentary that I actually bought called The Secret Origins of DC Comics. And there you have them talking about where comics came from, how it started. And the first comic book company was, that actually did superhero stuff, was DC Comics. And one of the guys talking was Dwayne McDuffie. And they had a little segment here in there when he was talking about, you know, how he changed the game for the industry. But because before him, you know, black people were drawing like little golems and everything, or they were blaxploitation, and he didn't know anybody like that. So he was given his own division of DC Comics called Milestone, where he created his own characters, like Static Shock, like Icon and Rocket, like the Blood Syndicate. This goes on and on. So that's where I learned out. That's where I found out about Icon and Rocket. Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
Yeah, so and later they both showed up on Young Justice years later, and they were really cool on there. And I was like, man, why don't we have them in more places? Why don't we have them in the new Injustice video game? Why don't we have them in a new comic run? You know, I mean, granted, the man's dead, but his characters are still iconic, no pun intended. People who know about Static Shock love Static Shock. People who know about Ben 10 love Ben 10. Shocker, Dwayne McDuffie created them. Also, less known, Icon and Rocket. So, little summary on their origin story, and then me and Random Girl are going to talk about what we think about them and everything. But the origin story for Icon is basically he was a mediator, which is like a lawyer for his people. And when I mean his people, it was made up of 1,000 different planets, of 1,000 different species, very much like Star Trek. So very peaceful. It wasn't a fighting. He said in the comic that the little scuffles that they did have were very small arguments, and his job as mediator was to make sure that both parties came out with something. You know what I mean? Like a negotiation, sort of. So he was on vacation on this cruise ship. And I described it to Random Girl earlier as like Lost in Paradise, if you guys have ever seen The Fifth Element. So Lost in Paradise type ship. He's cruising. All of a sudden, one of the engines blow, and it's chaos. There's fire. All the species are hitting the pods, trying to escape. And, you know, he hits the pod. He escapes to Earth in the year 1930. I think it's 39 or 35.
18, right? It's 1830, not 19.
No, 19.
I could have sworn you told me 18 because of the slavery thing.
Yeah, it was slavery, wasn't it?
No. Okay.
I thought the 1930s.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, by 1930s we were free.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my bad. I'm glad you were here to correct me on that.
It's 18.
So 1839. I would check out the comic, but it's not in my immediate vicinity. So 1839. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, or it's either 1839 or 1835, give or take a year. So anyway, he crash lands on this plantation, and his ship, if they land on a planet that's not populated by anybody from their race or that conglomerate of species, it automatically takes the DNA of the closest person so they can blend in, yada yada. The pod opens up. He's a little baby instead of a grown man, and he has to be raised. So there's a runaway slave that grabs him and, you know, raises him. So he helps with the Underground Railroad. He ends up fighting in the Civil War with Ulysses S. Grant.
Ulysses
S. Grant. And then he also ends up in World War II. So he has a lot of knowledge, not of things happening. And he lives for centuries. So every time he dies, he comes back as his own son. And I think he's it's the fourth version of himself. So I think it's Augustus the Fourth or whatever.
So does he live in the future or something? Because 1839 and then 100 years later is only going to be 1939, isn't it?
Well, he lives in present day in Dakota City. It's a fictional place.
Okay, so he doesn't live for decades then, because
he does. He lives for centuries.
For centuries. So that's what I meant to say. So if he's been living since 1839, and 100 years later, he would it would be 1939.
Well, in the comic, he said it's around 150 years old.
Okay.
When the comic actually came out, and it came out in the early 90s.
So for a century and a half then.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, but he lives 4 centuries. Just when he landed in his pod, he was a baby, but when he was on the ship, as a mediator, he was a grown man. He was just different species.
He just naturally lived.
Right, so he when after the pod landed, he shrunk. It actually showed the panel of him shrinking from this blue, 3-fingered, 3-toed alien to a little baby infant. So he lives for centuries.
Okay, gotcha.
So after he crash landed, all that happened. He ended up being a lawyer, creating his own firm with his best friend, who's this white dude. And there you have it, present day icon. And in a nutshell.
What's his real name?
His real is quizzing me.
I don't
know. His real name, I can't remember. Gosh, man, I feel like an idiot right now. I don't remember his real name. Mm-hmm. I've been reading the comic. It's like Augustus something, the 3rd or 4th. He's the 4th.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, but it's an old-fashioned name. I remember the mayor of Dakota City, Thomasina Jefferson, because it was funny. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's him in present day. He ends up meeting this 15-year-old girl who actually runs into his house, tries to rob him.
Oh.
Yeah, with her friends. She has 3 of her friends, tries to rob him. They think it's like a white guy in this suburban neighborhood, but it's actually, him. And he stops them by, flying around, distracting him. A couple panels later, she comes back in the morning. It's like, she finds that she wants to be a writer. And he has this huge, gigantic library of all these books. And, from 18th century on today that he's collected. And she's like, I want that knowledge. I want to be smart. I want to be sophisticated. I want to learn what this guy learns. And I want to be able to be a good writer by learning all this stuff. So she comes back the next day, convinces him to be a superhero, even draws their costumes and everything, makes up the name, Icon and Rocket, and then we're off to the races. So
what happened with the story? Did she get caught, or they robbed him?
Oh no, they all got caught, but he let them escape and said, "Turn your lives around, or I'll come for you," kind of deal.
Okay.
So he's like, "I won't report to the police because I don't want them to know that I can fly and stuff." Mm-hmm. So that's how that went down.
Okay. And then what's okay, so I know you're still talking about Icon, mm-hmm. but I wanted to get into Rocket.
Yeah.
How did she get her powers?
So Rocket, she got her powers by this belt that I don't want to say he made it, but it was a belt that everyone had in his species, and then he had a friend modify it. So that's where she gets her powers. There's this belt that she wears. With the belt, she can fly. She has like this force field around her because she's a regular human being. So when anyone punches her or hits her or whatever, it hits the force field, absorbs the energy, and she can blast it back. Like in a punch or in a beam kind of deal.
Well, that sucks. She doesn't really have powers then.
But she's a human being. Batman don't got powers, but you like him?
Yeah, because he uses tactic and wit. She just has a belt.
She doesn't just have a belt. She has wit too. She has street smarts.
Okay.
She's from the projects, but she grounds him. Mm-hmm. When I was reading the comic, I liked, how like Superman, he's basically the same thing from another planet, raised by these good people, and he loses himself sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I always liked Lois because Lois grounded him. Lois reminded him that, hey, we're down here, you're up here, we're not as strong as you, you got to reason with us, you have to, kind of find the best in us and realize that we're humans, not like you. She does the same thing. She reminds him constantly in the comic, hey, just because people aren't bettering themselves, it's not because they don't want to, it's because they don't have those opportunities that you've had. So it's kind of, that dynamic, and I like it a lot.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So he was only on a cruise ship, you know. So why did he decide it's a cruise ship? That's not like his planet was destroyed. Why did he have to escape to another planet just because his cruise ship was destroyed?
Because he had to escape on a pod ship. I don't understand the question. Like
he was in space.
Yeah, he was in space.
He couldn't go back home.
No, when he crash landed on Earth, his ship got damaged, and Earth doesn't have the parts to fix it, so he's like marooned there. Mm. And even in the comic, he's like, I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go back to my people. I want to go back to what I was doing. Mm. Unlike Superman, who can't, and Martian Manhunter, they can't. I thought it was kind of cool that they actually did that.
Okay.
So, that being said, I'd like him to be in more stuff.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe by us talking about this, you know, just bring it to light. He might get his own little TV show or something, you know?
Yeah, I would like that. I would like for him to have his own TV show. I would like for him to have, I'm not sure if they'll do that, but, I mean, it would have been, I was thinking earlier, I was like, why can't he be in Justice League? You know? Mm-hmm. Like, they swapped out Martian Manhunter, which was stupid, for Cyborg, and it's like, Cyborg's not all that interesting to me. I know you said you liked him, but I'd rather have Icon. I think he has more layers. There's more going on.
Who did you say they switch out?
They swapped out Martian Manhunter for Cyborg.
Oh, the game?
No, man. Like in the Justice League, in the comics and the movie that's coming out, they kind of just swapped them out.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. So, and it made me mad. You know, I still don't like it. Oh. But it would be cool to actually, if you can't get Martian Manhunter, at least get Icon. Mm-hmm. He was in the Justice League and Young Justice.
Yeah. You see, that's a start. I mean, how long was Vixen out before she started getting her stuff? You know,
I don't know. Vixen was out for a long time, but I think she was created in the 70s, to be honest. But I don't think she got like that major spotlight put on her until.
So that's why I'm asking you. You see, I'm trying to make a point. Okay. I was saying, how long had she had to be out before finally she's getting, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, it might happen with Icon and Rocket.
Yeah, but I mean, Icon and Rocket was out before she was. Even Static was out before she was. Mm-hmm. And Static got his shine, and now it's gone. Yeah. You know, he had his own TV show, the whole nine.
I think they'll get their due.
I hope so.
I think they will. They both sound like very interesting characters. I feel like, and my mind escapes me.
That's
my
okay.
thoughts escape. Rocket and who else?
Icon.
Icon seems like a very interesting character, so I would like to see more of him.
Yeah, I like him because he's still kind of alien. The way he talks and the words that he uses, not only are they very, very intelligent, but how he phrases them reminds me very, very much of like Martian Manhunter from the Justice League TV show. Mm-hmm. So like seeing that and seeing, you know, his dynamic with the world and with his sidekick and everything, I think it'd be an awesome thing to see on TV or in the movie, you know? I think he could definitely. I mean, Meteor Man had his own movie, and who was that? You know, why can't Icon have his own movie? Seriously.
Hopefully, it'll be better than Meteor Man.
Yeah, Meteor Man was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, they
actually take superhero movies serious now.
Well, I mean, I like Meteor Man. I thought it was pretty serious.
Who played Meteor Man?
Robert Townsend.
You liked it?
I thought it was okay. I mean, I haven't watched it since it came out. Maybe I have a different view on it now that I'm an adult. Mm-hmm. I thought it was pretty cool, you know? Bill Cosby was in there as like a bum. Had one of the meteors and changing channels and stuff. It was a pretty dope movie, I thought.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, why can't we have that? I mean, I would love to see an Icon and Rocket comic or...
You know what something. I like? The possibilities are always open. You just need the right person needs to just hear it and, you know, be brought to life. It could happen.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm worried because I feel like even, you know...
Nothing's set in stone.
Dwayne McDuffie was supposed to do this epic Martian Manhunter comic, and he started it, and then he died, and then no one would touch Martian Manhunter, and then they were like, oh, we're going to do, you know, an ongoing series, and I was there when they announced it, and then all of a sudden it turned into like a 8-comic series, a mini-series, and I was all mad. So it's like, I feel like whatever from my point of view, it feels like he's done such great work that no one wants to touch it. And that's a shame.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're not going to live up to Dwayne McDuffie, so we're not trying to touch Martian Manhunter. We're not going to mess with Static Shock. We're not going to mess with Icon. Even though, like, these are popular characters, maybe not Icon because he hasn't had his shine yet, but yeah, like, why won't they do another Static Shock TV show? Why does it have an ongoing comic? Why does Black Lightning does and he sucks? You know what I mean? He's getting a CW show. Why? But yeah, I would love to see that, and I don't understand why they don't touch any of his stuff.
Who created Black Lightning?
I don't know who created Black Lightning. He was one of those blaxploitation characters from back in the day that Dwayne McDuffie was actually talking about in the Secret Origin of DC Comics.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's changed a lot. He doesn't have an afro or anything anymore.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited. You have Luke Cage, even Misty Knight, and all that stuff. It seems like it's going to be a new era of heroes, more diverse. So hopefully in a few years, they might get introduced.
That would be cool. I mean, it's already started with Young Justice, and they're bringing Young Justice back. So hopefully we see Icon and Rocket in Injustice, because Rocket played a big part in that too.
Yeah. And you see how many excited people, how people got when they found out about Vixen, when she was just on she had her own not cartoon, when she was on CW.
Oh, the CWC, yeah, animated TV show.
And then she showed up on Arrow, the live TV series, and now she's on the game. They wanted to see more and more.
Yeah.
So, this is a good time. I'm glad we're talking about this, and I think we'll see them. I want to see both of them.
Yeah, I hope so.
Rocket and Icon.
Yes. And what do you guys think of the little bit we told you about Rocket and Icon?
Yeah.
And
have you heard about them, or is this your first time?
Right, and I would love to see him in Injustice 2. Please, Boone, if you're listening, put him in Injustice 2. Yeah, so let us know what you think about Icon and Rocket. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. It's not on Comixology. I don't get why it's not on Comixology, so the link that is below is for
one day it will
Amazon.
Be. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know if you ever heard of them. You know what I mean? People, unless you're a Young Justice fan, maybe you haven't heard of them, and maybe you don't know the history behind them. But yeah, let us know what your thoughts. Always want to know what you guys think. As always, like, subscribe, share. And until next time,
peace.
We will see you on archive.friggin.org. So long.